was going to introduce something.
Go for it. Go ahead, Dan. The show's yours.
Okay, thanks everyone, both in person and in virtual. Uh, it's great to see everyone all together in a room with nice chairs, and this is super exciting because um, why is it exciting? Well, it's our first in person event with everyone except for me. So it's great to see all the core team, all in one room and wearing solid shirts and eating food together and having everyone join us. It's a marker of how the community has grown and also the kind of community we are. Like we will actually get together and care about each other, and that's amazing. So we've got a full agenda that we're 45 minutes late on. So I will excitedly pass it back to Dave.
Thank you, Dan. Oh boy. Sorry. I did not plan this properly. I'm just going to be forward about that. Okay. Slideshow. There we go. I got it. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Um, AV troubles were a lot more
All good.
terrible, not in a good state. I was expecting a bit more stability than this. Okay, so this meeting has been a long time coming. We're actually a couple weeks behind our regular cadence for quarterly updates. So thank you everyone who actually showed up. We'll have an opportunity at the end of the session to ask any questions, or if you're new to Solid, maybe we can talk a little bit about the library itself. We're also treating this as our community event, so this is a great opportunity to update everyone on where Solid is and where we plan to go with it. So I'm going to go right into it. In regards to community finances, so we use Open Collective for managing all our funds, and it's very healthy to date. We're at a comfortable 6,600-ish US dollars in the balance. This is from a lot of amazing contributors, including Builder.io, Steve over there, thank you. Netlify is a huge contributor, Vercel, a lot of big names are providing funds for the project, and it's amazing to see the level of interest and I guess caliber of individuals who are supporting us financially. The numbers that you're seeing are also quite exaggerated because we did host a hackathon this year, and so we raised $12,000. And again, Builder was one of the contributors there. Also, Stitch and ClearSpend and a number of other individuals have contributed to that amount. This year, we actually gave out $12,000 US in prize money to 3 individuals, and they did exceptionally well. We got a lot of ecosystem projects, 54 to be exact, which for a project our size is quite remarkable for where we're planning to go. So there have been minor increases in small donations over the past little while. Our very healthy reserve. Um, so the funds that we've been using, that we've had to date, haven't really been used for anything specifically. Just domain registrations, hosting, simple things like that. Where we're thinking about starting to use that down the line is for supporting meetups like this. So we actually hosted an event prior to this in New York City that was supported by Boomi. And I know Dax is on the line as well. Thank you very much for supporting that event. That was a lot of fun. A couple of us got to come out, and there was about 24 of us actually in one room, and that was a lot of fun to actually engage directly with the community for the first time. So this is our second event, and we're actually using the Open Collective funds to pay for the space and the catering and the wonderful drinks that we've had. Some other things that we're thinking about are concepts like solid fellowships. So we want to take some of these funds and actually redistribute it to community members that would be interested in actually working on projects that have an impact on Solid itself. So fellowships are a way for someone to say, I want to solve a particular problem in the Solid community, dev tools, or external ecosystem things, and we would actually fund them to do that. So it's kind of like an internship. It doesn't have to be specifically for students, but a way to actually give back to people who want to work on something in a paid manner. We're also working on new ways to actually fundraise. So I'm very excited to announce that we now have Solid Store. And so if you visit solidjs.com/store, you'll be able to purchase things like the wonderful shirts that you see us all core members wearing, and also the stickers that you see. It has everything from t-shirts, stickers, mouse pads, hoodies, hats, mugs, water bottles, and patches. And they're all fairly priced in the sense that we've compared it to other communities and what they're selling things for. A hoodie will cost about, I believe it's $35. T-shirts will be about $24. Stickers will be about $5-6. Keep in mind that there are healthy margins padded into that. All that money gets recontributed back to Open Collective. So the money that you spend supports the project and comes back into our Open Collective. So, rush there right now and spend like $500, please. Just kidding.
Or just donate.
Or just donate. Donate is much better, but you don't get like a free T-shirt. So you don't get a T-shirt out of that, right?
So buy a T-shirt and then donate the rest.
Okay, sure. That's even better. Let's do that. Okay, so let's move this along. I want to give everyone updates on growth metrics, and I do this every single community meeting. So it's been a wonderful 3 months for Solid. We're seeing incredible growth. So from Solid site, this is unique visits. We're up 15%. I believe the metric now is about, in a 24-hour span, we get about 8,000 unique hits. So for a project our size, that's actually pretty remarkable. Discord is up 20%, and I broke that down into groups of active members, new members, and returning members. And so we can see that the returning members is actually starting to build. We're getting people more interested in working with Solid, so they're more likely to stick around the Discord and actually engage in conversation. The amount of unique members is up significantly. Sorry, of active members is up dramatically. I think we're at about 800 active members, which for our size of Discord is actually really, really good. So we have like a sticky factor that's working out here. If you're coming to the community, you're probably really excited and really interested to participate, so you stick around a lot longer. Our Twitter has seen a significant bump. We're now at 10,000.
600.
Sorry?
10,600.
10,600. I don't know why I put a period between the 10 and the K.
Yeah,
I probably meant to
11
put.
now.
Yeah, I was gonna round it up, but then people would be like, "You're not at 11 yet." So it has grown significantly. And by the way, these metrics are all from April to June. So these numbers are, very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, our total Discord numbers are now, I guess, what, about 4,600 members in the Discord overall.
I think it's higher than that, actually. I should have put the
I've been
totals.
waiting for it to hit 5,000. I know we aren't at 5,000 yet. It's getting there very soon.
Very, very soon. We're not like an enormous size Discord community, but we're probably mid to high range right now. This is the most exciting metric, and that's what we've been seeing for a very long time, or hoping to see, is I treat this as conversions. So everyone who's actually been interested in talking about Solid and working within the community, it's actually translating to downloads per month. This means people are actually using and working with the framework. And so this is something that for the longest time, Ryan and I would sit back and be like, yeah, this is all very nice, but where's the conversion? And so this number is now actually starting to take off. And this is probably the most important slide in the entire presentation. So, we're at about 122,000 to be precise. So this is really exciting. I mean, people are starting to recognize that Solid is a major player. What's also really interesting is that whenever you see the other frameworks mentioned, React, Vue, Svelte, Solid's logo is now in that cluster of logos. And so as we continue to grow, and by the way, I just want to remind everyone that we actually released 1.0 exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
So this is a year of progress.
Although that line was very flat for about a year, until about April, I will say.
Yeah, very, very flat. Yeah, I think Dan froze over there too. Shit. Dan, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. I'm like memeing in the chat.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're not following chat.
I'm very much enjoying it.
If you can't hear us, someone please intervene and let us know what you can't hear.
We hear you. I was just explaining that I have a bash script that just runs npm install solid.js over and over again.
Oh shit, I was doing the same thing actually.
He's actually been sharing it, so everyone's using it now. It's a bot farm.
Yeah, and I explained that's how I got 3 million downloads on my Nmap module over 4 years.
We know your secrets. Okay, so another really, really exciting thing that just happened, what was it, last week? We hit 20,000 stars. And so this is pretty amazing for us. Ryan's been waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah, well, I was on vacation. I've been waiting for it because I wanted to click the 20,000 star.
You missed it.
I haven't started Solid yet. I was just started 10K, and then the 20 hit literally when I was driving on the last day driving home from vacation. I was coming back from I guess Santa Barbara, and it happened on my drive home. I was like waiting. I was like, okay, it was yeah.
So let it be known that the creator of Solid hasn't started his own package yet. So that will happen. It'll happen probably at
it's
25,
not
I imagine.
it's not actually good enough for Ryan yet.
It's not worthy of the star.
Just putting this into comparison, so we've actually surpassed a lot of previous projects. We're now on the tails of Alpine, Ember, U, Preact, Svelte, and the massive frameworks. So we're making progress. These numbers are indicative of growth, and I think that's the thing to focus on at this point. Another interesting piece of news is that Fireship decided to actually focus on Solid. So we've had Solid in 100 seconds, and that video received 330,000 unique views, and that's 19,000 likes and about 1,200 comments. And by the way, if you actually read through the comments, about 90% of them are positive.
That's surprising. This is such a shift. Honestly, when we posted stuff like a couple years ago, it was just like, why are you trying to distract me from React? the opinions have really changed.
Yeah, there's been a massive shift in perception, and the fact that Fireship has decided to focus on us is very much I guess an accreditation. The funny thing though is that at the New York meetup, someone said, "Oh well, Solid is now famous because of Fireship." I'm sorry, I've been actually tracking these metrics for the past 2 years, and the growth has been actually just climbing and skyrocketing. Fireship only ignited that even further. So there's been movement before this video actually hit.
Yeah, I mean, we've been on a really good upswing since the Rising Stars survey, State of JavaScript survey. Like a bunch of those kind of accolades came in. Fireship was just like, yeah, it was just very nice, perfect timing, honestly.
Perfect timing, and Ryan was on vacation yet again. I think you should go on vacation more often because we might double or triple our metrics.
That's a secret.
Okay, so another interesting thing that happened was we saw a lot of more organic exposure, thanks to the efforts of the amazing Dan, or Jitanium as you know him on Discord. We've worked together on actually producing a video that talks about Solid's, what Solid is and how it works. And this video was actually derived from some learnings that Ryan produced and prototyped on some of his talks. I think it was Amsterdam.
With Corbin. Corbin's in the room.
The first time that I actually did it live, but yeah, I was preparing for the GS Nation talk in Amsterdam 6 months ahead, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you guys saw it on Corbin's stream, and everyone was like, "This is how we need to explain things."
It was so good.
It was excellent. But
So fast.
the core team was like, we need to make this into a legit video, and Dan took the initiative, and we produced this 10-minute video that has now received 54,000 plus unique views, 1.4 thousand, I spelt likes wrong, apologies, and 200 comments. And by the way, the comments on this video were extra special.
More negative?
Well, not negative. They're actually very pleasantly more concise. You can actually tell the audience that's watching this is more advanced. And so what we ended up doing is realizing that we actually intended this video to be an intro to Solid. And then when we took a step back, we were like, oh, no. This is reactivity, and this is an advanced concept, and we need to take a step back and start talking about intro material.
What's crazy about this video, though, and something that I still stand behind, is, and this is about as concise as you can make it, because I did a similar editing when I did the JS JS Nation, conference talk, is this 10-minute intro video. We presented it as an intro to Solid, but what's crazy about it is most intro videos, they show you, oh, this is how you get started, and this is how you do it. In this 10-minute video, you basically understand how everything in Solid works. Everything. that was like the kind of revelation when people were just kind of like that doesn't speak to all audiences. Not all audiences are going to be like want to know the why. This video is incredibly like the fact that you can basically explain the whole framework in 10 minutes, how everything works in it is kind of testimony to the design and the thought that goes into it. I'm super happy that this video was produced for that.
And building on that thought, there is an intention to actually produce more videos like this. We're recognizing that even though this is an advanced video, this was meant to be a series of 3. So we actually want to produce another 2 or 3 additional on top of this that focus on more of an intro to Solid. And this is a problem that I need to actually address and identify. Solid right now is a grassroots community. We actually attract a lot of, what was the word you used? Know-it-alls? Yeah. And we have a lot of know-it-alls and performance geeks, and like that's what makes up a majority of our community. But that's an extremely positive advantage of our community. A lot of communities actually try to grow to this point. We're starting at this point. And so the learning here is that we actually need to make it more accessible to an intro crowd. So we're going the opposite direction of everyone else. And I think we have a lot of really great ideas. A video that actually talks about the basics of Solid is something that is coming very soon. Other ideas are like a JSX and a compiler video and primitive composition, which is at the core of the philosophy of Solid. Moving on, some really exciting news. Solid has won the 2022 Breakthrough of the Year award at OS Awards. We're an exceptionally good company, PNPM and Party Town. There you go, Builder.io again. Amazing. The recognition of this award is remarkable. If you look at the past 3 years, right. We're an exceptional company. Svelte, who else was it? Svelte, I think Vue won it as well.
I'm trying to remember what the one was before Svelte. Yeah, it's escaping me at the moment, unfortunately.
It's kind of indicative of like the things that are about to become Vite. Yeah, actually Vite, that's true.
Yeah, Svelte Vite.
Sorry? Immer. Oh, Immer won? Wow.
Yeah, it was in the tooling category, not in our category, but yeah. There's been, the projects in this category are quite impressive, especially if you look.
What's Web 3?
I mean,
moving on. So the other really, really, really exciting news, and I have to put this out there. The thing we hear a lot in our community is, well, Solid isn't backed by a company, and it doesn't have the support of Meta, it doesn't have the support of eBay, and so. I mean, this shift of Ryan actually being employed by Netlify, by the way, an incredible company. They're so focused on the future and better ways to actually deploy and build products and make better front end. It's remarkable. They brought Ryan on board as a principal open source engineer. And so I actually am having a hard time identifying who else has this title.
I mean, there's a few people. Rich Harris has this title of herself.
Okay, but does he work on anything other than Svelte?
Not to my knowledge. Yeah, no. I was incredibly honored in terms of the position here because there's a lot of different options, places that I could go and work. Different degrees on Solid, different projects, and what caught my eye about Netlify was they have this very all like when you raise the water, all ships rise kind of mentality, and it's kind of incredible because they don't have a single framework they back. So like I mean, to detriment or whatnot, like Solid's not Netlify's Next.js. That's not what's happening here. But generally speaking, when I talk to them, they're just like, we like what you're doing, we like the contribution you're making. How can we help? Yeah. What can we do here? And that means like obviously I put an incredible focus on Solid, but I'm very, very excited about what they encourage it, working with a lot of the other libraries too, and figuring out how we can build towards a better web. And yeah, I'm super excited because as I said, for the most part, they're like, yeah, work on the Solid stuff, but like I was actually talking with Michiko Hebry, builder again, but working on Quick, and he was like, I kind of proposed to him, I'm like, I want to make a benchmark that we can all look at in terms of for hydration performance. And
Yes.
I was kind of using that opportunity to ask him his opinion and tap into his great knowledge of years of work on Angular and on Quick and seeing that. And we actually came to a pretty good place and conclusion of what that should look like. Netlify will make that possible. I'll be able to build that and work with these people and these teams. So this is an incredible opportunity. It's incredible for Solid. It's incredible, hopefully, for the web in general. If I get the chance to build this stuff.
It's exciting, and I guess everyone's really wants a bit of clarity as well. So, what is the relationship with Marco and broader OSS though?
Sorry, with Marco?
Yeah, are you still involved in Marco?
Yeah. I've been on vacation, so it's been very hard to kind of keep up on this stuff. But yes, we're kind of seeing how things go. Everyone knows like my time is a little stretched, perhaps, but I am still very much involved in the Marco project. I still regularly talk and communication, and at least once a week, in I kind of drop into their meeting and working on towards the Marco 6 goal. I think the project has incredible potential, and there's no way that was part of what I loved about this. There's no way I was going to step away from that. I've had the opportunity, and the Marco team and eBay was actually fairly flexible, but Netlify letting me work on Solid as well during the day and all that is amazing. To actually build those relationships and work with Marco team a lot, and with Quick and with Astro. There's a lot of really good stuff going on the web in general, and I'm still very much with Marco.
Amazing. And from my understanding is everyone perceives Marco as like very much an eBay only project. It's an OpenJS Foundation supported project, and technically the IP and legal structure is actually with that entity. So while eBay supports it financially, it is actually an open project. So Ryan, as an open source software engineer, can actually be involved in working on these things, similar with his involvement potentially with other projects in the future. It's very exciting. I love how you can also be like a voice for good engineering in this position. You're kind of like a sharp, the tip of the blade for Netlify. Like I think as your voice kind of increases over time, you'll be able to lead a lot of conversations.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope. I mean the truth of the matter is, some people are probably going, what does Netlify get out of this relationship? Obviously. I think they really want to be part of the conversation. They really want to be in there. They want, part of it is, yes, they want you to think of them when they look at the progress happening in the ecosystem. But it's more than that. When you're in a company in that position, you need to be where developers are, and you need to understand those kind of problems and those kind of considerations. So I think it's really exciting for both of us. It's a very mutual, positive situation, and I think that everyone there is great. Matt Dillon, it's awesome talking shop with someone like that. Talk about the future of Jamstack, talking about where things are heading, and I'm very excited on both fronts.
Amazing. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, and so let's move on to the conversation of team members. And so I'm happy to announce that we've decided to take on Nikhil. I just realized that I spelled your last name wrong as well. I am so sorry. This was pulled together in like 20 minutes. So Nikhil is actually joining the core team, and he will be responsible in many parts for Solid Start. And so his effort to date has been remarkable. I can still remember when he came on stream with you and actually like just demoed this crazy combination of all these packages that he pulled together in like a week or something like that after have like studying Solid for like a day.
It was a community meeting. It was a meeting just like this, and at the end, Nikhil was like, "I don't really know if I want to share," and then he like shares this like chess thing and a bunch of other stuff. So hey, you never know. If you're nervous, you might.
3D multiplayer chess, by the way. Incredible.
Yeah, custom renderers were something that we added in 1.2 that came out in, I want to say, end of October. And we had a community meeting, I guess, in December. No, actually, it was in November that 1.2 came out, beginning of November. And we had a meeting in December, and he basically jumped in. I don't know if it was you're on break or whatever, and just basically showed us what a 3GL implementation looks like, what a CLI terminal implementation looks like, Ink.
Solid Ink, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was one other. I can't remember. What was the third one?
There are too many things you can't even remember.
But yeah, no, Nikhil's done an amazing job on Solid Start. Solid Start, being our next competitor or Remix or whatever, SolidKit, is a very essential, important project for where things are heading next. And having Nikhil on board has been incredibly valuable because there's so much as we grow. I haven't been able to focus on it as much as I want, and the project is so much beyond what I'd expected. We started with a lot of ideas, and to see them implemented, taking some of the best aspects of the different frameworks and then presenting them in a very idiomatic, solid way is amazing. So yeah, I mean.
Welcome.
It's an honor.
Would you like to say anything?
No, it's actually incredible honor for me to be invited by you guys. I've been following open source for 3-4 years, been dabbling with libraries here, and just never felt like I should put in too much effort into digging into one. But the Solid Discord, you guys very very inviting to contribute more and actually feel valuable in when I did contribute. And Solid Start, I have had a bunch of ideas around this meta framework space, and Ryan was very inviting for my ideas, really ideas up to the edge of all these compilation stuff. And so getting a chance to actually be, I think of Solid Start as an instrument for my ideas to flow out in this space. And so getting that opportunity is incredibly wonderful for me. And then I really feel like we can create a big impact splash with this in the space. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity with this, and thank you for saying that. It's amazing, finally having a new core team member on board. It's very tricky for us to actually select a team member. We're actually, and just to kind of give a bit more information, the core team is talking about what membership process looks like, what governance looks like. Right now, this is very much ad hoc and at the whim of what core decides, which is now a group of 7 people. We do plan to evolve this methodology and the process behind this. So we're still a small project. We're learning. We're actually evolving and adapting a lot of concepts from different projects. We're lucky to have someone like Dan on board as well, who's involved in projects like Astro that are moving at incredible warp speeds. We don't want to move that fast, but we're going to move at a pace that I think our team feels comfortable with, and in a manner that actually sets us up for a prosperous long-term future. I think that's the critical part. We don't want to fumble in making decisions. We want to make the absolute best decisions, the most solid decisions. Was that the first pun of the night?
It was. Yeah.
I should be appalled also. Okay, so that being said, thank you, Nikhil, and welcome. I promise I only have a couple more slides, and then we can talk about actually cool things. So in regards to a governance and structure, we're really trying to set up a process where we can actually have contributors organized in different groups. And so this organization structure has very much been an experiment, an evolution of different ideas. And so to date, we've always had core, which is represented by Death Star 1.0, by the way. Just need to point that out. And also ecosystem, advocates team, and our moderators team. And so these, established teams are probably going to end up changing and evolving quite a bit. Our advocates team will turn into, at some point, a DevRel team. Right now, it's orchestrated and staffed by the amazing Evie. I know she's on the call. Thank you very much for also staying up very late your time to participate in this call. So these groups will continue evolving. We're setting up structures to bring more team members and staff them correctly. Now, the critical piece here is that we can announce 3 new teams that have been created in this quarter. So the infrastructure team, the docs team, and the growth team. I mean, docs has been around for a while, but the formulation and the growth within that set has been remarkable. So I can speak actually to the infrastructure team side. Infrastructure is responsible for maintaining the Solid website, Solid Services API, which no one really knows about, but it's basically this Cloud Worker is a function that handles a lot of the authentication systems in the broader platform, but also other new tooling that we're going to announce and make everyone aware of, like Repo login and other such tooling. Also the playground as well. And so currently I'm leading this effort, but I'd also say that Milo has actually really stepped up, another core team member, and has taken on a lot of responsibility cleaning up that code base and bringing it into its future iterations. So thank you very much for that. And I really hope to see Milo actually, hopefully, at some point take that lead in regards to infrastructure. Docs side, so Dan leads this effort. We're actually going through a process right now of revitalizing solid docs. And so I'm going to turn this over to Dan, so you better be ready to talk for a few minutes, Dan. But our docs have been good to date. We get a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of people say that they're fantastic. They're cut to the chase. Just give me the goods. I'm really happy to read it, but they're not also accessible to newcomers. And so if you've worked with reactivity, if you've worked with a lot of familiar concepts, you're going to pick up the docs really quick. But if you have no exposure to JSX or reactivity, you're going to find yourself at a disadvantage. And luckily, we have things like the tutorial that get you through this a lot quicker, and the guides as well, but they just don't do enough. And so we're investing an incredible amount of time, and we built a whole extended team to actually take on this effort. One of those new members joining is Corbin. Thank you very much for actually coming. And that being said, Dan, do you want to talk a bit more about the docs effort and where we're going with it in the future?
Yeah, we've got so the docs are actually built on Solid Start now. And it's kind of our first big like dog fooding of Solid Start. So from an infrastructure perspective, that's exciting. It also gives us the room to experiment a little bit with infrastructure. So for example, we have a new beginner tutorial that asks you what framework you're coming from. Corbin actually jumped in and wrote a guide even for Angular. So if you're coming from Angular, Svelte, Vue, or React, like we have you covered, and we will intersperse information for you. And that's sort of a good example of like how we can use the new infrastructure to help you learn. But yeah, we before I sort of took a break for the month, I spent a lot of time making a writing guide and a contributing guide, which sets out the guidelines for writing for the docs to try to make it as clear cut of how to contribute, how to help, how to jump in. We, Corbin actually helped a lot with this, like cleaned up the code base quite a bit. And we even came up with a docs manifesto that you can go and check out on the new Solid Docs Next repository that shows like, hey, we're actually treating this like a product. This is not just describing Solid. That's not the goal here. The goal is to teach Solid to anyone, and that is a sort of full interdisciplinary like product effort. We sort of treat docs like a real product, and a huge shout out to like the broader community. I mean, I got help from Rachel Neighbors on this, who spearheaded the React beta docs effort. I got help from Sylvia Vargas, who is also part of that effort and has been doing docs for a long time. And of course, my colleague at Astro, Sarah Rainsberger, had her hand too, helping out with setting up the docs. So we're taking docs seriously. We have a roadmap now. That was sort of like my big goal: set up the infrastructure to have a team, and then the rest of this year is hopefully going to be writing those docs and getting it to a good spot. I'm excited. Uh, oh, so someone says in chat, treating it like a product. Have you decided upon a minimum level of user you want to cater to? Yeah, I mean, this can be a broader discussion, but we basically decided that the beginner tutorial should assume basic JavaScript knowledge, and it does right now. But we have a section of the site that's going to actually teach you JavaScript. If you don't know JavaScript, it will provide links to other guides on other websites, because we've had people jumping in. And this is actually pretty cool. We've had people jumping in saying, hey, I want to learn Solid, but I'm really new to web development in general. The more of those people we have, like if you guys want to talk about growth metrics, like I usually don't want to talk about that, but if you can onboard new developers to Solid, this is the framework they're always going to come back to. So there we have it. I talked for more than a few minutes.
Well, thanks, Dan. We really appreciate it. I mean, you did mention growth in that, and growth is a completely different entity, and I've tried to take the leadership of this for now. The hardest part, I guess, what was the tweet that I wrote? There's actually three hard problems in computer science: caching, naming, and sorry,
Off by one.
off by one. Okay, so then there's four. And then basically marketing a JavaScript framework is mine. So this is an extremely difficult effort trying to convince people to Solid. It's shocking because it shouldn't need me convincing. It is a very powerful, very elegant framework, but helping people understand the benefits of it vis-a-vis the incumbents is actually really tricky. And so one thing that we're going through right now is figuring out what works, what vibes with the average developer. This is very, it's difficult because there's a lot of things that are happening in this space right now. DX is a big topic. Performance, which has been a major factor of how we've promoted Solid to date, is probably not the most important thing to everyone. We got to call a spade a spade. Solid is fast, but we have to find ways to actually indicate that it is not the primary factor to be using Solid. There are many components. It's small API surface. It's free performance is the way we've been trying to describe it. Everything that you read on the website, everything that you read in the docs, it all kind of agglomerates in a single feel of how we actually strategically present Solid to the marketplace. And so the growth team is concentrated on finding that message and delivering it to a broader community. So to date, I've actually spearheaded this effort with about 4 or 5 other external team members who are trying to find that voice. So if anyone has interest in actually participating in that conversation, expressing why they love Solid and what they get benefits of from it, please reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to include you in that conversation. To date, the goal right now is to kind of like tease out the unique value proposition of Solid as a framework, and then derive a bunch of different high-level strategic directions. And so to date, we have 11 different strategic options, ranging from it's composable to it's a powerful framework to it's a minimalist framework to, oh God, there's, we've come up with a lot, or it's a performant framework. There are many different angles that we've taken, but the one that actually probably excites me most is, we've also spoken about this, is just coming up to market and saying powerful is just the powerful framework. I mean, you can talk about Vue being the progressive. You can talk about, Svelte is the cybernetically. But I mean, if you've watched the recent video, I really feel like their angle is going to be the productive framework. Like they want to be the one that you can get things done really quickly, and they're about enhancing the developer experience. Great. And then we have React, which they've never really made a claim about it, but
yeah, I wish that would work today. They were just like, we're just like the framework that builds UIs. The end. I tried that. It just didn't.
No, but I mean, can we all at least agree that it is used more in an enterprise context? And if you want to get a job, you're probably going to do it with React. So, I've been using the term,
job framework.
It is the job framework or the enterprise framework, for lack of a better representation. So, Solid coming out and being like, we're just the powerful one. Like, we're small, extremely performant, extremely productive. Like, it's so difficult finding the right angle that maximizes all the benefits in one. Solid's good at everything. That's the problem. And so when you're good at everything, what do you focus on? So if you're interested in this conversation, speak to me. We need help. It is a very tricky and kind of the strategic direction that we picked to date, which we're going to start reining in the next few weeks or months, will actually give birth to our future copy, our future tone and docs. Everything will kind of derive from that. So this is a really critical moment in our evolutionary process.
I understand why now you guys can take the no BS framework. I tried.
I love what you're saying in that regard, because it's like, there's actually a suggestion for like Solid to be the trustworthy framework. It's actually on our list of like directions. The idea is, if we can actually show people that we're never going to sell you something that we can't sell. We're never going to give you a promise that we can't match or facilitate. So literally it's about just like good engineering. It's the same approach that we've taken from a community perspective. We don't want people going out there and like evangelizing Solid just because. I mean, there's a lot of like fanboys and other ways that frameworks try to grow their user base. We're never going to do that because you know we're focused on that trustworthy factor. So that's another angle. Who knows if that will be like the no bullshit concept is kind of cool, but like how well are you going to sell that? Okay, we need to move on. So we're kind of nearing the end of the presentation, but we've spoken about okay, so this is focused on new and current initiatives. So we already talked about docs, solid site rebuild, solid start beta and docs. So we do have an upcoming beta release. And I guess before we hand it over to Ryan to actually give us a complete roadmap and trajectory for the next probably 6 to 12 months look like, I want to take an opportunity to actually turn it to Milo to talk a bit about. I love how you're getting like all prepared for it. So we have actually quite a few updates that have come up recently regarding our playground, some new exciting features to announce, and yeah, why don't you just take it from there?
Do you want me to move up so that I can?
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, go ahead. You can also just take control of the screen and demo whatever you'd like.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're the upcoming playground is going to have sign in, and we're working with the new web container API to support things like solid start in the playground and like more profile accounts. We're trying to make our playground the best it can be. And
For those not familiar with the web container.
yeah, the web container API is a way to run Node.js, like your whole Node ecosystem, all in your browser locally. Yeah, can I?
Press escape.
Ooh, magic. More escapes. Does that work?
Yeah, new tab, Command T.
Yeah, I'm on a new tab.
You're not sharing that to Gotomeeting.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
No,
Don't do that?
Yeah.
Let's try that. I can't see what I'm typing in the URL.
I have a better idea. Why don't you use your laptop because you're actually on it and you can actually share more efficiently that way.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And I will stop sharing.
So, just kind of.
I'm gonna switch it to.
Oh, I see. Let's see. I don't think I can share screen from this laptop, but.
Are you on the call?
By the way, while we're figuring this out, we are one of 4 projects that StackBlitz is partnering with to get started on the web container API. So we're special.
Special. Yeah. So the new web container API has full npm install. It looks just like native, and the really powerful thing is like now we have your full dev environment running in the browser. Like you got this whole terminal. Yes, it is using WebAssembly to emulate like a full file system, network, everything. Yeah, so this will be hopefully coming very soon.
So this is like actual Beat project running.
Yes, this is like it's a little broken right now, but it's like
Early prototype.
yes, but like full index.html, like the config package JSON, like you can theoretically edit this whole thing.
So the idea is that we can even make our solid start website use like smaller than playgrounds.
Yep.
And
Right,
then
so
have
tutorials.
server-side rendering enabled.
Yep.
So full
Server-side rendering,
tutorials.
async rendering. Yeah, that will be coming soon.
Yeah, if anyone's watched the
Svelte talk or the Rich Harris talk from the JS Nation.
exactly. So Rich Harris actually broke the news that StackBlitz was building the web containers and came with a lot of fanfare and a lot of excitement. And so there have actually been a couple frameworks that have also been working as a part of that effort. Rich has been really instrumental in working with Stack Blitz to lead that conversation. So we're very thankful to him for that effort. And Solid and Vue and pretty much all the other frameworks are involved in that conversation, and we're all kind of adapting our own playgrounds in a similar way. Um, you should definitely demonstrate some of the other features that we have that we're actually going to release probably today or tomorrow.
Yeah. Let's see. Coming out today is oops, wrong page.
Create a new REPL. Wow.
Yeah. So we now, once I log in, have a way to log in. Maybe. There we go. You can see your past REPLs. You can create a brand new REPL. Maybe. If not, you can go to what? You can. Oh, I didn't successfully log in. Hold on.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. You can delete your old REPLs that you accidentally created in your live demo. Then you can create a brand new REPL. And this will be automatically saved to your account. So like you never have to worry about, oh, did I share the link? And this link is shareable. So if any of you were to want to go to this URL, you can see other REPLs coming soon.
The important part of Solid's Playground is that it's really been a way to actually explore and understand the output of your source code. It's been absolutely instrumental in helping Ryan actually get through a lot of debugging process. So actually bringing this login process, which by the way, shout out to Stitch. Stitch actually supplies all our authentication. One thing that we can't easily demo, which Milo just went through, is as soon as you click that login button, it'll actually trigger a GitHub sign-in. So this is authenticated against your GitHub account, and within 2 clicks, you'll have an automated process of actually creating REPLs and saving them to your account. There's also public visibility controls. You can share them out. It's backed by a new Solid Services API. So we've been putting a lot of effort into evolving our playground, and things like the web container will be a part of this future as well. So thank you very much, Milo. I mean,
and of course, it's designed to be embeddable and usable on your own website, so that, like, for docs and demos, this will soon be a part.
exactly.
I do have a question, a very quick question. I know that the code is shareable, so you can share the space itself, but does it have the capability of generating a public URL so that you could get someone to see the website? Because that would require that to be hosted, but it's not, right?
So it is hosted. So like if I can send this URL in the Gotomeeting chat, and you can all go through it if you want it.
Right, but would I be able to just see like just the web output as a separate browser and send that to someone so they see the output?
That's a good idea.
Not yet.
Yeah, right now.
Like REPL and Code Sandbox and all of the.
Yeah, no, I think hosting is a completely different problem that we'd have to solve. But right now, just launching the editor and the REPL in your browser to see the output is the key focus. Actually,
Oh, it's amazing, by the way.
different.
Our goal is to make it easier to reproduce and create demos, and starting soon to create larger projects and things tied to an account and shareable.
Yeah, the playground has been instrumental for teaching as well. A lot of the streams, videos, I used it a bunch for the JS Nation conference talk. I used it to remake the React forget memo example in there. So yeah, no, this thing has been great.
And it'll only get better. I mean, your ability to actually link it in articles. Also, Solid Docs will actually use this directly in line in the docs itself, and you'll be able to fork the examples and make edits and start working with them. This is the level of, I guess, quality or fidelity that we're looking at producing with this type of tooling, and this is all the effort of our infrastructure team. Dan, I see a couple messages in chat.
Oh no, we're good. I mean, people are. I'm handling it.
Okay, good, excellent. Okay, so Milo, if you want to bring it back to,
I should have. It looks like it's still sharing for whatever reason.
we'll go back here, and I will share on my end. And I think at this point we're probably in a good spot to hand it over to Ryan. Yeah.
Close thing is the camera's over here, which is pretty awkward. I don't know. Like, no, I'll face the audience. Do you want me to pick that camera? Yeah, so I guess people want a bit of an update. I did actually do that not too long ago on my stream. I did right before I went on vacation a month ago. Then I went on vacation for a month. So I have to admit the dial hasn't pushed that far since. It was a great vacation though. I did a road trip across the US, if that's what you guys are interested in. I went and all the way up to Canada.
Ryan, come closer to the mic.
Visited like 6 national parks. Yeah, okay. I guess I'll have to come close to the mic, which means I'll be out of the camera. Yeah, but in any case, the gist of it right now, focus has been on a couple key areas. We've been focusing a lot on solid start, as you've heard about, at least on the. Well, I'm talking about core effort here actually, because to support solid start has, shone light on a lot of small little niggly details in terms of SSR, race conditions, little features, things that we realize that we need. The other big effort in the way this is kind of showing up is through Solid 1.5, which is well on its way. I'm pretty excited about this one because, well, we kind of broke things a little bit for a certain group of users when we released Solid 1.4. I was so enthusiastic to finally patch that. You find this bug and you know about it for like a year and you like hope people don't notice it, and then you're like, okay, we're gonna fix it, and then no one will notice and everything will go fine. Well, it turned out that that introduced a different set of bugs essentially, and with 1.4 we finally made Solid perfectly consistent. Of course, that breaks mutation completely. Like people were using a primitive we have called create mutable, and they were doing a bunch of stuff with it, and it was just being consistent apparently in mutation kind of are at odds with each other. So I've had to rethink the approach, and a big part of that is that we're looking at new batching behavior for Solid that.
No, Ryan.
We lost them. Hey guys.
I was looking forward to the new batching behavior.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, there we go.
You were cut out for at least 2 minutes there. It just, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
We love your elbow though.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I can finish it.
The right arm. I mean, just admiring my Solid tattoos.
There you go. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Continue on.
Yeah, so solid start, a lot of this is coming through Solid 1.5, which is really exciting, fixing a lot of issues and stuff that's been around for a while or
Did we lose him again?
It's okay. We didn't want to hear about it anyway.
Like I hear mumbling in the background.
Yeah.
Basically,
David, if you can hear us, you're only sharing your tab, and we can't actually hear Ryan or see the screen of the presentation anymore.
so Solid 1.5 will make batching more consistent in a way that doesn't affect any of my apps, but will maybe help you out.
Nice.
There you go.
okay.
Yay.
Yeah. Can you hear us? Hello, Dan.
Hi.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
We can hear you.
All right. Number three. Okay. I don't want to say it anymore. But yeah, no. 1.5, 1.4, a lot of the releases right now. The reason is we're we're using this opportunity to take what we've learned and apply as much as we can to current Solid in a way that we can kind of improve the comfort. So these are things you learn over time, right? You do things, there's that thing, do it, what is it? Do it quick, do it right, do it fast. That's not the philosophy I subscribe to. I'm do it fast, do it quick, do it right, kind of thing. So we're doing things. I probably screwed up the order of that too. Anyways, we're basically, things are stabilizing better. I'm really excited. Our async and streaming SSR, for example, are now going to be a single process. All the weird edge cases, all the SSR is the same thing. So there's just a lot of these interesting things. And the reason for this, and what I'm building towards here, is that this is basically about taking things as far as we can before we can break off to a 2.0 release. And 2.0 for us represents not actually, I'm hoping, a big shift for most of the people using our project in terms of the development experiences that are available today. It's about doing more. It's not about changing what we already do. And the key part of that is a revisit of the reactive system. I've talked about this on a number of occasions, but one thing that's kind of become clear is we need to be able to do more with the core system. We've built it to be incredibly fast, but we need to be able to serialize data. We need to be able to basically, save the state of the reactive system and start it up again. This is essential for things like HMR. We do HMR right now, but we can't restore state. This is going to be key to that. It's essential for things like dev tools. You need good visualization. These are kind of places where we didn't spend as much time originally. We worried about making it fast and less about that. And the most interesting part about this is key if you want to, say, render your app on the server, serialize it, and then pick up where you left off in the client. So these are things. So we've looked around the ecosystem. I've had a lot of learnings from different frameworks. And while every framework does their piece, and I'm very excited with the work we've been seeing in Marco, obviously because I worked on that. But Quick, Astra, and what we're looking at what we can do with Solid. And I think for us, one day maybe we'll look at stuff like partial hydration. That's not where we're focused at. We're going to make the best hydration story possible for Solid from a performance standpoint. Look at stuff like reducing that run time when it actually boots up. I've heard the term resumability before. That is something that we're looking at, right? I'm not saying we're doing everything, say, like Quick does or Marco does, but Solid's focus has always been about performance, and it's always been about the kind of low level pieces to let you do what you want and build those primitives. And that's what we're going to continue to do, right? I'm sure we'll leverage that stuff in Solid Start. We'll leverage that in our integrations with Astro and Quick coming up, hopefully very soon. So that's kind of the direction here for the next 6 months. We'll see a couple more minor releases, kind of building on those ergonomics, kind of aligning with the new docs effort. This is kind of a combined thing. We're going to see Solid Start come out shortly after, and while it's a meta framework, really we're positioning this as a way to get started with Solid Start, a starter template. Solid Start does client-side render only. It does server-side render. Every piece of it's opt-inable to the point that it actually does scale from our current starter templates with V, and Solid Start is V completely, all the way to stuff that's opinionated as a framework like Remix. And that's basically the story there. And with those pieces in place, developers will be in a good place as we kind of change gears into the fall and look at, that tooling piece that's been kind of, everyone knows, that piece is kind of missing. Dev tools, better HMR, and luckily this kind of lines up with a better hydration story, which has basically been the story of 2022. So I think this is a big part of the effort forward, and that's what you can come to expect.
Awesome.
That's what I gotta say.
Thank you. With that, the streaming rig pretty much went down, so I think what we're going to do is probably open it up to
I can it's that if you reload the page on my browser, it'll kick me off of admin. But then
If I move this bottle, I think
Yeah, I mean, we see people.
Hi. Sorry. I was futzing it with it while Ryan was talking, and I learned my lesson, so I'm not going to do that again. So that being said, I think we pretty much covered the crux of the meeting. I do sincerely apologize for the AV issues. We're going to get this sorted for our next conversation, our next community meeting. At this point, I think I want to open it up to the demo. So on our community calls, we always ask individuals to actually step up and demo some stuff that they're working on that's solid related. And so we have 2 today. And if there's anyone else who's on the call and interested in demoing something, I'll give you an opportunity after these first 2. So start preparing yourself. But I think I'll go with Thiago first. Thiago, I know you've been working on some amazing, solid, related projects. I think the story that you have to tell is really interesting. Did you want to take it from here?
it looks frozen.
Is he frozen? No, he's smiling.
Maybe there's a delay.
Is there a delay?
No.
Do you want to? Do you hear us? Do you want to share?
Oh, I thought that's you. Yep, I wanna share.
Cool. Go ahead.
Hopefully he's not on the Mac. It makes you restart Discord.
Oh, did it work?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that Tiago's now presented the notification.
Technology.
So Swiper.js is a Swiper library, and that's pretty big in React. It is interested in Angular, Vue, and and other frameworks. It wasn't so hard to port it, but it took a long time. I was really buzzed this month. So here's the presentation. Yeah, that's kinda straightforward until we get into the build part because Solid is pretty compatible with React. This API is better documented, in my opinion at least. So there's the part that really matters. It's really hard to make bad code in SolidJS, but in React that's not true. And then you have big effects, you have very small effects, you have sometimes chains of effects where you set something in a premise in the first effect and then the second effect you get the result of the premise so that the effect isn't so big. And SolidJS it's pretty straightforward because when you set something it's already set in the next line and the building part isn't it's getting easier because SolidJS have a lot of more libraries right now, and there's the Discord community. And thank you guys that helping me there. It was really amazing. And I guess that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Dax, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, cool. Hang on. I'm getting a little bit of echo. 1 second.
Now
Can you maybe mute the laptop that you guys are looking at?
we're
Yeah, there we go. Oh, what? There we go. Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Dax. I'm sure you've seen me in the Discord and a few other places. I don't have something to demo today, but I thought I could just share kind of my story with Solid, and there's a few nice places where my work kind of interacts and overlaps with the future of Solid. So I currently work on two projects. I am the founder of Boomi, which is an early stage startup. And my day job, I'm a core maintainer at SST, which is a framework for building applications on AWS, fully serverless. Both these projects have a big tie-in to Solid. I think just out of coincidence and my personal interest in them. But I'm going to talk about Boomi first. So I think I got into Solid probably like around the 1.0 announcement. I was kind of looking for something new, and I found it, and it seemed interesting. And I was kind of trying out all the other non-React frameworks at the time, and this one really stuck out to me. And around the same time, I was deciding to start Boomi and kind of figuring out what's the stack that I want to build this product with. So Boomi is an operations tool for businesses. We're currently focusing in healthcare. It's a pretty heavy duty product. There's actually not much to its core besides the ability to build custom schemas and really model all the operations parts and flows in your business. You can kind of think of it as like a very early Salesforce, but very modern. I knew that I wanted the product to be really, really good. Like because people sit down, they're going to use this all day. They're going to log into it in the morning, and they're going to be using it throughout the day. And I knew that I wanted to build something that felt really good to use. I was kind of inspired by some of the nice applications out there like Linear or Superhuman that really push the bar on, oh, here's what like a fast, good feeling application can be. So I was trying to figure out like what's my stack to power that. And I knew that all that quality comes from being able to really just spend time on little details. And I'd been doing React for a long time. I spent a lot of time as a consultant. But I shared this on Twitter at one point. I think some people found it annoying, but I've seen a lot of companies with mature React code bases. I hadn't had experience with a single one where I was like, oh, this like evolved well over 2-3 years. I didn't want to be in the same position where I like started to hate my code base after some time. And I'm sure there are some React code bases out there that are great, but I just saw way too many teams like kind of end up with somewhat of a mess. So I was apprehensive to build in React. Simultaneously, I was actually also really nervous to use Solid. I had just raised money at that point, and I was thinking, okay, I just raised all this money. I am liable for this money. I need to make good decisions, and so I can go to the investors and say I didn't just, make some random decision that was a bad one. So I was pretty nervous about using Solid, even though I had been doing some side projects with it, and I liked it. I was definitely worried about the ecosystem. If you actually search the Slack, you can see like probably like 10 months or a year ago now, I posted like, hey, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, should I use this for my company? What do you guys think? So I ended up deciding to do it. And so now it's been a year and I've had time to reflect on this decision. Terrible decision. Totally regret it. I'm going to be rewriting everything in Svelte. No, I'm just kidding. It's really obviously great in hindsight. It felt scary in the moment and like felt like a risk, but in hindsight, I'm like, I can't believe I almost didn't do it. The product, we're doing an actual launch of it in the fall, so that's why I don't have anything to demo right now. But it is like it hit and exceeded like my product exceeded my my expectations and my goals for what I wanted to hit. People talk about the performance of Solid, and that story is there, and it's like very compelling. And my app is very performant, but to be honest, it's not because of the performance characteristics of Solid. It's because my code is extremely simple. It's extremely easy to reason about. So I can put in the time to get like these little details right. I remember this clicked for me when I built this little like drop down search catalog that you can like navigate with your keyboard or the mouse or anything. Super easy to build. It was just like normal JavaScript. Whenever I had to do anything like that in React, it was something I dreaded. So I always kind of half-assed it. So it's like just seeing the results, it kind of speaks for itself. Like this is the best product I've ever built. And a lot of it is because I was able to put in the energy in places where I couldn't before. So yeah, at this point, like we have, it's a pretty complicated app now, right? So I mentioned, we have all this custom schema stuff, all the custom field stuff. It basically has all of Airtable inside of it. So it has, a virtualized table that can support tens of thousands of rows and like different views, different filters, all this stuff. then that's just a piece of the product, right? So, and this is just me working part-time on this. So what I've been able to achieve has been really awesome, and that's really just because of the ecosystem and the things I've been able to plug into. So yeah, like, so just kind of go over some of the technologies. I think a lot of the questions, so the reason I'm telling this is if you are kind of in the same position as me, where maybe you are founding a company or a new project and you're maybe nervous about, like, does this make sense for me? I want to say, yes, it does. You might feel like the ecosystem isn't there, and it's true. It's a lot smaller, right? Compared to React, it's definitely a lot smaller. But React is kind of like a garage packed full of stuff. You just have like everything, and there's all kinds of stuff in there. You don't really know that you have something like a useful tool in there. And is there any difference between having a useful tool in your garage that you don't know about and not having it at all? Probably not. With Solid, you kind of have this like organized drawer of stuff that you know works really well. And there's been some really great integrations with some like third-party libraries that aren't really Solid specific, right? So I'm using like TanStack's table for our table stuff, and there's a Solid adapter there. I'm using Urkel, which also isn't Solid specific. I had to write the integration there myself, but it was pretty minor, and I have like the full normalized caching and all the crazy stuff there. So ecosystem isn't huge, but it's quality. So if you are kind of on the fence, like I was, like just go for it. You're not going to regret it. Being a part of this community like this early has been really great. So my other project, SST. So again, this is a framework for building serverless applications on AWS. Most of you probably, not every project needs to be on AWS. It's probably overkill for a lot of people. But kind of like Dave was saying, like this is really targeted at the enterprise, category. If you're starting a company that, you're aiming, it's going to be a unicorn, like you're going to eventually be on AWS. We want to make it as easy as possible to, do that on day one without really, incurring all like the pain of learning AWS. So we have like constructs and ways to do things like queues, event buses, cron jobs, various databases, functions. We have constructs for front-end frameworks like Next.js. You can deploy, Vite projects on there, and this all gets, pushed to an edge CDN, kind of deploy the same way Vercel or Netlify would do it, but just inside your own AWS account. We just launched a remix construct today. I apologize if that offends anyone. But the exciting news is we're gonna be adding support for Solid Start as well. So I've been doing the work for creating a Lambda Edge adapter, and also creating a construct in SST. So it's like a one-liner to deploy in like a very optimized way. Currently moving my personal site over to it. It's looking great so far. I've been bugging Nikhil in the Solid Start channel, but everything is kind of, the kinks are worked out, and I think it's been awesome. It's pretty simple, but it's been a good experience. I'm kind of happy with the result. So the other thing with SST is we also have a console, like a front end console to manage your application. We built this in React. So there I'm kind of made the decision out of fear. It was around the same time I was picking Solid for Boomi. So I was like, all right, I'll do one in Solid, I'll do one in React. Very much regret this. And now we're kind of stuck with this React app. And when I can kind of compare it to my Solid app that I developed over the same timeline. But there's something interesting we're going to be doing. So we have our, so SST is an open source framework, but we also have a CI tool that is, a SaaS product, and that's where we make our money. It's pretty old. We don't really work on it anymore. It was kind of built even before we had SST. So we're going to be doing a 2.0 of that product to demonstrate, and it's going to be built on SST. So we want to kind of use it as a way to dog food our own framework. The exciting part about this is this time around it's going to be built on Solid, which is going to be awesome. Second thing is it's going to be 100% open source. So even though this is our like money-making product, we're going to build it entirely in public. The whole code base is going to be open source. It's going to be a pretty complex project, right? Because a CI tool isn't like your average thing you build. So there's going to be all kinds of crazy serverless stuff going on, all kinds of interesting like container spinning up going on for doing builds. And of course, the entire front end is going to be open source as well, and that's going to be all built on Solid, potentially Solid Start. I think we haven't decided whether an SPA makes sense, or if we want to stick with an SR framework like Solid Start. But yeah, so this will be fully public. It's gonna be open source, and we're gonna be kind of documenting our process and building it. And we'll be doing streams and stuff. So hopefully that reaches a wider ecosystem and of saying Like, yeah, we like our audience, our community is very enterprise focused. They're not on Twitter. They're not really on Discord. They're kind of building, these bigger systems at bigger companies. And I think, like Dave said, they're all mostly using React, but I think introducing them to Solid is very viable. So yeah, that's all I have. So no demo, but just kind of a little mini talk on like my experience with Solid and why I'm excited about where it's going.
Awesome. Thanks, Dax. Okay, cool. Well, if there's anyone else who's interested in a demo, let us know through chat, and then Dan will probably chime in and let me know. So that being said, I think that kind of concludes the critical part of the community meeting. I think we should just open it up to chat, conversation. If anyone has anything that they want to throw out there, now's your time. Anyone in the audience as well that has anything, let us know. Let's start with audience first. Does anyone have any questions? Anything you want to discuss? Yes, Steve. Hi.
So what does day-to-day life working at Netlify on whatever you want in open source look like? Do they give you any direction, or just like, do your thing, we'll complain later if, we have 2 cents?
Yeah, I mean, I've been away for a long time, so I can't speak to it. I have regular meetings with people. I have regular meetings with my manager. I have regular meetings with people in the framework pod, which are responsible for integrations with other frameworks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny because I asked Zach from 11D the exact same question before I joined on, and he was just like, "No, it's too soon. I can't tell you." I'm like, "You've been working there for like a month and a half, or he's been working longer, but he's been in this position for a month and a half."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, no, it's just amazing. I can't tell you anything else." Yeah, I mean, so far it's really been I open up my computer, log on, check the Slack, switch over to the Discord, check Solid's Discord, see what's going on, check the GitHub issues. Usually around that time period, my manager is actually, and one of the heads of the pillar of our like pod pillar area is in the UK. So I do most of my meetings in the morning because it's the end of their day. And then once I'm synced with them, usually I just pick an issue, whether it's bug fixes that day or working towards 1.5. I'm looking forward to being able to do some of these other initiatives, and they require a bit more planning. But right now, I'm just kind of getting my get situated sort of stuff. I did all the HR stuff. I had some catching up on bug fixes while I was away for a month. So yeah, right now it's just 1.5. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I love the conversations I've been having. I've been meeting people across the whole organization to talk about like different stuff because yeah, there's a lot of really good ideas. Like some of the members of the framework team were like, we should get a bunch of the framework authors all together and do a thing where they have like a conversation, like maybe a stream and stuff, and get everyone in. And they're looking at organizing stuff like that. Netlify is very much like this is not like a single project kind of thing. They want to kind of involve everyone. So yeah, it's really cool because they've given me that leeway to do so. I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm actually gonna do a stream with these guys. Like I did a Fresh on Friday, and I talked a bit with Nick Taylor, Netlify, who also did a Fresh stream that week. Like we're always kind of like looking at the new technologies and seeing how, but in their case, best leverage it for Netlify. But in my case, just look at how it affects the web in general. These are very complementary things. So yeah, so far, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what you'd picture.
It's awesome. That's really cool.
So I've been following the TamStack table journey, and they're kind of the strategy there is to extract basically all the logic from the components. And it sounds like there's a little bit of that story here too with the meiosis. I'm not sure if that's entirely accurate.
Yeah.
But what does the future for component libraries look like? Is that an important thing? How do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question because I've talked to Tanner a whole bunch. I forget how he got tipped onto my stuff. I think it was actually maybe David from Ed State that tipped him onto it because dude, like this guy's doing some pretty different thinking of stuff. Mostly that Solid is a library that doesn't really rely on components in the same way, has a different execution model, which makes it actually really annoying for people making, typically people making framework agnostic stuff. I was a big web component person for a long time, and I made my own web component library. I mean, everyone makes their own web component library. That's kind of how it works. But part of it was I was trying to make my own framework agnostic web component library because the other framework agnostic web component libraries were not good with reactivity. They expected everything to re-render. And yeah, it's an interesting challenge. What was really cool about Tanner, and you'll notice this about the stuff he's put on Twitter, he's a big fan of Solid. He knows React is king, but if you notice all his communication, it's like React, Solid, the others. And this is big for us, and he realizes this too, because smaller ecosystem, we appreciate his work much more because obviously what it means for us. But also, he was looking at Solid's reactivity as core communication. He decided to do something a little bit more agnostic, but generally speaking, I think it's interesting. We have a couple paths here. There's like the web component universal kind of look at like, let's kind of make a generalized component. The thing is, web components are DOM elements. Whether that's good or not, it'll never quite fit exactly into your framework the way you expect. I mean, they're fine, they're good, and they are great for abstraction, and they're great for modularity. Like if you want a truly universal approach, you can't beat that because they are the DOM. You can't, like, you could take a web component anywhere. It's interesting though, if you web components still get written in libraries, and your web component might end up working best in the library that it was written with. Like they kind of share values. So if you write your web components with a Solid-based web component library, it'll have elements of that. You can use it anywhere, but maybe it will be best used with Solid in the sense because it kind of aligns with its model. And I think web components are, as I said, really great for a lot of things where you want that portability. But sometimes people are just like, I want the best thing for my app. And then there's like my specific framework, like I made my decision. There's a couple different approaches, right? And someone asked Tanner, they're like, how did you make these framework agnostic tools? Was it web components? He's like, no, it was no components, right? The headless model. That's one side. And I think that side we've seen a lot of potential there. And Tanner's latched onto it. It seems to be working for him. I'm actually really excited. Obviously, it's the little guy, coming up, having these libraries that are at disposal is amazing. The other approach, which I think is also interesting, one that I'm much more skeptical on in the past, and perhaps still a little bit skeptical on, is like, what if you could use a compiler to do this? Which is we talked another builder I already did a lot of highlights here, Steve, which is mitosis, and that project allows you to take code written in a single way and have it actually output to all your different frameworks. That's a difficult task in a way. I wrote an article I already talked about today about how every framework's different. But depending on what your expectation is, maybe that can also work. I think for simple things, and it might be interesting if people decide to take mitosis and make it like a first-class thing, the way people take web components. That might be another path. Personally, I'm pretty stoked about the Tanner Lindsley, headless approach right now because it fits with us. But that partially maybe because mitosis has room to grow and get better at the compilation, or possibly because web components have room to grow and the standards improve and stuff. Right now it's easy to just go forget the components and do that. Maybe one day that changes though. So that's sort of where my thinking is. I think it's cool that we have three different options.
Can I ask a quick follow-up?
Yeah.
So the follow-up was going to be like, what does like a good 2022 look like for Solid? Like, what is success if I'm actually an engineer? I'm sorry, I can't like a product manager here, but I think the other side of that after your response was, does it make sense for Solid to advocate for a sort of portable ecosystem where there's like almost a plug and play of the rendering, or sort of like the ability for people to write some of their core business logic in a framework like Solid, but to be able to use abstractions like the way that the Tanner's done with that? Is that something that Solid needs to advocate for?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I'm a performance nut, which means that solutions built for the specific thing are always the best. Like, you if you choose a target and you build towards that target, you can make specific assumptions and make it the best, which makes it very difficult sometimes because general solutions because they're general tend to sacrifice that. I think Tanner solutions attractive in that you get to still write the components in the framework that it's designed for, and it's fully capable. um, I think being where Solid is, we have to be aware that not everyone wants to rewrite all their components all over again. So we should be supportive. Like we're a good choice for web components, very good choice, you know. And you know, with people like Tanner coming up with these libraries, like again, a good choice. It is tricky. I think. I mean, this isn't. I'll talk for ages if people let me, but like this is one of those kind of interesting things. I love the hackathon because we got these first party libraries, and I, in hindsight, after seeing the hackathon, I actually viewed Solid's lack of React compat as a benefit, and it's because it forced people to rewrite it. And at first you're like, okay, well, yeah, so now you write it better, smaller, faster, you know. But secondly, it brings people because you have someone who has to maintain it. Maybe that person flakes off, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to be an optimist here and hope that it goes there. One of the things with Preact that I saw in the past, although they're kind of growing into their own now, it was historically people would be like, oh, I could just use a React library with them. So at first they get a bigger cut of the market, a bigger cut, because you can use everything React with them. But then you step back and you go like, is there actually any Preact libraries? And because React libraries running in Preact aren't as optimal as a Preact library. You'll see the libraries that are, the few that are for Preact, being very, very performance focused or small, you know, things like Goober for CSS. And it's interesting. And the router, there's HMR, there's a bunch of projects that are Preact specific and very good. But I sometimes wonder, in a sense, if Solid's ecosystem almost leapfrogged them because we weren't compatible. And I kind of like that. I mean, Swix, Sean Wang, made a criticism after one of my podcasts. I don't know where it was directed at exactly, but he was saying like, you know, oh, I got to write all my components again. And the very first person who got in line to respond to him was actually Dan Abramoff from React. And he's like, this is a good thing. You don't want to carry that baggage with you. You don't necessarily want to just recycle this. He's like, it's cool that Solid's like different enough that you kind of want to do something there and see where it goes. You know, whether it's a competitor to React or not, you know, you could tell with a slight grin in his face, you know, the smugness that maybe perhaps not. But you like he was like, this you shouldn't want this. These things do need to get rewritten and do need to progress through time. And you know, React has its own, and Angular had its, and if Solid is going to be a player, that's going to be a real thing. That being said, I mean, I'm full circling here again. Things like web components, it's important that the standards eventually catch up. They see the same things happen over and over again. Do something about it to make it easier. That's why web components are here. That's why we're seeing additional elements being added to the HTML things, like the dialogue and whatnot. Like the baseline does rise, but on Solid side, I guess for the most part, we've been at least historically on the bleeding edge or the cutting edge. And on that side, we value innovation, we value performance. And while an easier adoption story would be that, and I'm very open to any agnostic tools, especially stuff like Tanner's, which makes it so easy to make it feel like it's actually belongs to Solid. I'm always gonna say go for, you know, what makes sense or practical for you. If it exists and it works for you, use it. Otherwise, let's build something really freaking fast.
Do you think web components are gonna actually catch fire, or that's just
It's interesting. I'm going to be on a podcast or a stream coming up at the beginning of August with a bunch of other people all talking about the topic of web components. I thought it was very weird that I got invited. I have lots of opinions there. I have a lot of experience in history with web components. I think the funny thing with web components is there's always use cases. There's always places that they make sense, and then sometimes for me they're not the places you'd expect. Like when you're building an islands framework like Astro, and you're like, oh wait, we want this isolation. Maybe we'll just use web components. It's a good tool to use. Viewing them kind of like a web framework is a little bit trickier and difficult. I mean, you do make trade-offs for that portability. It is great though when you can just go, here's an element and you can just use it anywhere. But people who are building applications, they want to fine tune their application, and I feel like these aren't quite the same thing. So I have been historically, I went from like big proponent to like skeptic a couple years ago. So I'll kind of leave it there. I think the technologies and the platform will leverage the like as much as we possibly can, but I don't see them as like this is my framework kind of thing.
What components would you most like to see in the solid community that aren't
As
there enough yet?
okay, yeah, like missing pieces. Like we have like general purpose component libraries, and you can always use more of those. In general, I'm very interested in any primitives around animations, around stuff. We have some. I built some that are very bad. Other people have built some that are very good. Things like Framer, but I feel like it's an area that I know is a blind spot for me. So I feel like things like, and not to mention everyone has their own opinions on how CSS should work. Someone might come in and be like, it has to be Tailwind and want to build a whole new component library about on that. But like, so that kind of flexibility is really important. So for me, that it's that zone, animations, things that just add that little touch of like nice user experience. Because I mean, I worry about the mechanical stuff. I worry about making it fast. I worry about making it small. I worry about all that kind of stuff. Um, People who can come in and make things nice, very, very valued.
You had your hand up?
Yeah.
Corbin?
Yeah.
No, you good? I had a question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Preact gaining fine-grained updates?
I mean, I haven't looked closely into it, but I mean, they're not giving up their virtual DOM, right? To my knowledge. So, there is a virtual DOM library that has fine grained updates. It's a very popular one that everyone's seen. It's been around for several years. It's called Vue, and Vue actually had a really hard time on that thing. Like they were great DX. They chose reactivity because it was easy, because it was nice, it was progressive. You just could update stuff and ping. But Vue, sometimes it's tricky with these things. It's a more technical aspect because fine grain wants to update the littlest amount and wants to kind of be pinpoint and just set it and forget it. VDOM kind of re-renders and it wants your components to kind of manage that boundary. The problem is if you use fine-grained reactivity with a system that's less fine-grained, you end up just doing bigger amounts of work. And there's this weird tension where the reactive library wants the change to be, how should I put it? They actually want the zones to be bigger. I know this doesn't make sense to people, but they actually want the components to comprise of more. And that works really good with single file components. They actually want these giant components, but React and VDOM libraries want the components to be as small as possible. And because the thing is reactivity uses a lot of memory, and you tend to, the more small things you make, the more memory you make. Solid has fine-grained updates, but it does something kind of smart to reverse it for creation. And again, this is getting a little technical, but the thing is Vue kind of sacrificed and had the worst of both worlds for years. And then they fixed it in Vue 3.2 by letting people kind of opt into the memoization. And this is a very advanced topic, but they basically let you control the reactivity independent of the components. And I don't know, unless like it's possible Preact. Jason thinks of very smart ideas, like using things like islands, kind of independently came to a solution there. He's been looking at clone nodes for VDOMs and a lot of different stuff. So there's potential there, but I think it's just a very different thing to Solid, and I feel like, yeah, I mean, Preact's just a different sort of framework. I don't know if I'd apply things that way. I think Vue has already shown us what we can do with that combination for the most part. Preact doing it, my gut feeling, and I could be completely wrong, is it's an ergonomics thing. They wanted people complaining about React hooks, and they're like, okay, well, we can do something kind of like Svelte, or maybe Solid kind of looks like React, and people realize you don't have all those weird use ref use callbacks. Maybe we could do something like that. That's my feeling. This isn't about performance or fine-grained rendering as much as getting reactivity. They've seen now that it could be accepted as a way of just kind of like removing some of those rough edges from React. So I think it's interesting. I wonder, I imagine it'll be opt-in because I imagine it makes Preact larger, and Preact has always been the small library. People don't realize because Svelte is so small, but actually from a scale perspective, Preact is still arguably the smallest library. You make a large app with Preact, it is smaller than Solid, it's smaller than Svelte, it's smaller than everything else. So I guess we'll have to see on that. As I said, it's not Solid. It's very. I imagine it'll be quite different.
Any other questions? Does anyone have questions online? I saw Extra had some comments. Where are we?
About 11 minutes.
Yeah, we got 11 minutes. If there are no further questions, I think we should call it.
Yeah. But.
Turn it over this way. Okay, well, I mean, hello again. Thanks.
Hey, actually, I did have maybe a little demo.
Amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. I did this back in January, and I can't remember if I showed it during any of the previous community meetings, but I think it's pretty cool and interesting. So because Ryan was talking about web components, it reminded me of this thing that I did, which I've been using. So people on Discord, you know that people change their Discord usernames often enough, and their avatars, which I have trouble with because I can't recognize people. But what I did is basically a resolver service so that you can integrate someone's username. It started with just a username, and then I added the avatar later on. So I basically just created a very small solid element service, or sorry, or a front end, which is generating either of the little types of, whichever you want to show. Either it's the image, the avatar, or a small bubble. And I have and this is all just it's that's the only thing there is just 98 lines of solid code using just solid elements and Tailwind just for the CSS, so it's as small as possible. And if we go under the back end, I just have a little Discord bot, a very, very basic Discord bot that logs into the service. And then when for the front end to be able to query the back end, and that gives you basically this. So this is actually a web component instead of just being text. And it just imports the script there. And then I have that Discord user blah, blah, blah with the ID and the text type in order to show this. And then you have the simple version and then just the image version. And that's it. So in terms of web component, this is an example that I came up with that I think is useful for some people. You can use this in websites. You can use this in blog. You can, display a Discord username that is valid for the current username the person is using in Discord, and not whatever they had last time you updated the page. And I think that's it's fun and clever. I don't know what you guys think. I think it was fun, and it's available on GitHub, obviously. If you guys want to go take a look, I'll post it on the Discord so that you guys can see it. Sound good?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Evie. That's pretty cool, actually. I have to dive into, I guess, the Discord modifications. Like, I actually don't really know how this would be deployed in practice, but I love the fact that you're using Solid. Thank you very much. If there's nothing else, I think we should probably call it an evening. Everyone's good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, to everyone in internet land, thank you very much for attending, and thank you for bearing through all the technical difficulties. We will certainly try to step up the game next time. But I appreciate everyone attending. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You know it's getting late when I start eating cereal.
That was me yesterday at a workshop at 2 a.m.
All right, it's the after party.
I can probably stop the recording right now.